Hi, everybody. Greetings from Bethlehem itself. I wanted to provide another simulated Shabbat sermon for you all from the Bema. So I hope this provides some inspiration heading into Shabbat. Three heralds of destruction and reparation are slouching their way to Sodom. That wicked city and Gomorrah stand on the precipice of destruction, and Abraham stands in the way. In this instance, the Torah provides us rare insight into God's interiority, relaying the divine's internal negotiation on whether to share these machinations with our ancestor. We all are familiar with Abraham's holy chutzpah, leaping into the breach to defend the sinner against his deity. But I want to focus on the moment before Abraham's intervention, when it seemed like it could have gone a different way. Why did God, Kivyachol, voice hesitation about disclosing to Abraham? And why did God decide, Kivyachol, to take the risk and let him know? In an elegant narrative choice, the Torah foreshadows the coming destruction for the reader before Abraham has any idea what is about to go down. The three angelic visitors start on their way to Sodom, with Abraham even guiding the way, unaware of their vengeful mission. This disjunction is telling, as God is prompted to raise the question of why Abraham is being kept in the dark. The Torah records God as asking, "Can I conceal from Abraham what I am doing?" The great commentator Rashi sees the problem at play to be political, even familial. God has granted these lands, which include Sodom, to Abraham's stewardship, meaning Abraham has a right to know and a right to be involved. Rashi imagines God deliberating. I have called him the parent of many nations, and I will destroy his children and not let their father know? Abraham's name implies that he is a parent, Av, of many nations, Hamon Goyim, which is usually taken to refer to the proliferation of the people of Israel. But here, Rashi implies that the multitude referred to is a diverse one, including even the residents of these wicked municipalities. But we know that in the realm of politics, that such machinations occur all the time. Information is used as currency, secrets are kept to maintain power and control, and transparency is a good watchword, but hardly common policy. What we have here is a failure of communication. However, that is not the kind of politics or relationship that God would ever want to be a part of. Indeed, as Rashi includes at the end of his comment, Abraham is not merely referred to as the figurative parent of the nations, but is also called by God, Ohavi, my beloved friend. The medieval commentator Ramban also picks up on this dynamic. In the following verse, the Torah reads, Abraham will be a great and substantive nation, through whom all the nations of the earth will be blessed. Why is this divine promise mentioned here? Ramban has the answer. Nachmanides describes God imagining the future that is promised, speculating that those future generations will ask, how could God keep this from him? Or even more daringly, they may ask, how could our righteous ancestor be so cruel as not to stand up for his neighbors and act with compassion, pleading for their sake? What Nachmanides describes is a critical evaluation of the kind of relationship God has with our ancestor, Abraham. He is not merely the chosen vessel through whom God will manifest divine will or law. Rather, God chose Abraham to be a friend, and that has to mean something. In the final pasuk, before God does reveal what is in store for Sodom and Gomorrah to Abraham, it reads, For I know him because he instructs his household to keep the way of God, practicing righteousness and justice, such that God may bring to Abraham what was promised. Rashi notices that the word for knowing, yedativ, can also mean to love. Now, I don't think this added sense is merely an alternative translation, but rather it says something about what it means to have a relationship. To have a friend means to know someone, but not merely in a cognitive sense, but rather in a way struck through with affection. One knows the other, which reveals more and more reasons to invest in the relationship. Getting to know someone else is scary because one imagines revealing something true but treasured may scare the other off. But the premise the promise of a friendship, is that increased intimacy of knowledge means increased intimacy of affection. This is the courageous risk that God, Kivyachol, models for the reader, to reveal to one's friend the truth, because that is what one must do to live out the blessing and the challenge that friendship entails. The Torah insists that the relationship between God and Abraham is one of substance. God has chosen Abraham to be a beloved companion because of the model he sets, the character he has. Not only that, but the content of Abraham's ethical behavior provides the standard, as it is because Abraham insists that his household is comprised of righteousness and justice, that he is deemed worthy of the blessings promised to him. The Torah's mentioning of justice, mishpat, presages Abraham's daring challenge to God regarding the judgment in store for Sodom. Will the judge of the whole earth not do justice? Hashofet kol haaretz lo ya'aseh mishpat? Abraham is the externalized personification of God's own principle of justice, extended not only to those deserving, but holding out hope for change and repentance. That is to say, pure judgment is not divine, but rather exists in its most perfect form when it is combined with righteousness, charity, tzedakah. God, before executing the judgment in store for Sodom and Gomorrah, truly places genuinely deserving of such censure, reminds himself of the worthiness of his friend Abraham. The life that Abraham has committed himself to serves as an externalization of the highest principle with which God, God's self, is identified: justice suffused with hope. This reminder leads God to disclose Sodom and Gomorrah's potential fate to that friend, including the hope for human potential, into the accounting. To be a friend truly means that one needs to trust the other, to bring the other in, to act with honor and trust. To sneak around behind a friend's back means one knows that what one is up to should not be done, because otherwise one's friend would protest, showing one the better version of oneself and asking one to live up to it. Shabbat Shalom.